It's the Jim Fannon Show. We've come to take your mind.
Am I still on? Lilly Gaddis is my guest. I got her for as long as she can carry, about an hour. We're not taking questions. We don't care about your questions. Buckle up and welcome aboard. And I heard there's a few producers that are looking for a job, but I still produce my own stuff, and as I click perfectly on time, this photo reminds me of the Kill Bill character. I'm going to ask Lilly, you can unmute your mic now. I'm going to play this. You probably can hear this, but you won't be able to see it, but you can react to it.
I fucking hate gyms. They're awkward. I never know what to do with the equipment.
Why do you hate gyms? I'm personally offended by this. I saw this and I went, I'm canceling my interview. This is gym-Islamic.
Racist against gyms.
Sucks, man. I was so crushed when I heard that. Anyways, thanks for your time. I know you're busy. How do you like my Gavin McInnes background set? I am, get off my lawn with Jim Fannon. I'm gay for Gavin. So, hope you like it.
I absolutely love it. I
for
think
you.
a little fair glazing is always in order.
Fanboying, yeah, that would be. I don't get starstruck much, but I've been really liberal about letting Gavin know how much his humor is meant to me, especially his. Well, the interactions with him and Ryan are just insane. Anytime Ryan gets Gavin to react, or vice versa, like you can tell, Ryan's got a genuine laugh. He's not like, man. I was watching the guy that used to do Cunha's show, whatever his name is, and he's got one of those nervous laughs, like it's just a fake laugh, and there's nothing worse than a fake laugh. When Ryan laughs, he's entertained. Same with Gavin. So I just love the way they vibe off each other. I'm a little jealous that he gives you so much time. I know you're prettier than most, especially me, but just because you got internet famous over one freaking meme or one little cooking video, if you in your kitchen, and what to look for? Did you take it down or did it get removed?
It got banned. They took down
did
the video and then they banned my account.
Oh, really? I didn't know
Yep.
that. So you've got a different Twitter account now, or X account now, than when you put that video up? Oh, no, that was a TikTok video.
That was a TikTok, and then I went to X, and then I got suspended off of X, and then I started a new one.
I gotcha. Okay,
Yeah.
Now I understand. So anyway, we kind of skipped gears a little bit, which is kind of how I do things here, as I make a massacre, a complete abortion of what I'm doing here. Where did my video go?
Technology, man.
Oh, dear me. Okay, here we go. There you are. You're there. Oh, shit. I'm having... Anyways, go to the beginning. I'm interested about who you are, what your background is, how you grew up, what the influences were. Was God in your life? I love the post of you saying, oh, he's trying to get my Jewish nose. The internet went crazy when you made, a Jewish joke. And then I saw one of my friends saying, just tell us, are you so... Are you Jewish or not? Anyways, go back to the beginning, to the early days, and tell us, what Lilly Gaddis is all about. That is your real name, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So I was born in a little town in Bethlehem, and then Mossad picked me up from there. No, I've always been like a Southern girl, so I was raised for the most part in Georgia. We had like a big ranch down there, a lot of horses and animals. So I was raised very like rough. So I come across as sometimes the way I talk is very boy-like, because I was raised with like 4 brothers and stuff, and kind of roughing it and breaking horses. I broke my first horse when I was 13.
Oh, really?
Something like that. So had a rough, fun time growing up. Yeah.
For those that don't know, breaking a horse is taking a wild horse and teaching it to carry a human on his back, which can't be great.
Yeah.
So they buck you instantly before they're broken?
Well, generally what you do is you'll put a halter on them and then put them on a long line. And then you have like a little guiding stick or whatever. So you basically just break them first by making them run around in circles until they've kind of submitted. And then you put a saddle on them, and then they usually go crazy in the field, and they'll buck and buck and buck and buck, and you just let them fight with the saddle.
Oh, okay.
And then after they've kind of surrendered that, then you climb on board and you get thrown a couple times. So that's how I got this scar. I got thrown off the horse.
Okay.
But so always like a farm girl, kind of wild, had a lot of fun, didn't have like helicopter parents or anything. I was always raised like Christian and stuff, so always been conservative. So it's not like I was red-pilled out of the blue.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went to college like everybody else does, hated it, dropped out like 3 times because I would always get into fights with the professors because, liberal professors are annoying. Then I lifeguarded at the beach for a couple of years. That's how I got up to the coast. Loved that a lot. Like, found a lot of normal people that weren't liberal, but they weren't these squares, because it's hard to find a balance between the squares and the liberals, So when you can find that sweet spot, it's really awesome. But yeah, I just started like creating content more consistently about a month or 2 ago. One of those videos pissed off the anime nerd crowd, and then they went through and found the one where I had said broke ass N-words, and the whole internet went crazy. And here we are today.
Yeah, so before we get back to your personal story, how do you handle the extra attention? Like, I know you seem to be doing the right thing. I'm not comparing you, but hokta, like when you hit the pinnacle, you got to ride the wave for as long as you can. The people that go hide and get scared and intimidated by the attention lose all of it. And I think you and hopefully, some of the other ones, like, I don't care what your position is. If you get lucky and you ride the wave and you can turn it into a living, way to go, man. I'm proud of you. So how are you handling the attention? I know you've done the circuit as far as talk shows go, but specifically the hate. Like, I get a little taste of it. I don't get much of it because I'm not that big, but you've got over 100,000 followers on Twitter now. So, and a lot of them are subscribed to you or follow you out of hate because they want to hear.
Yeah.
So how do you handle, like I said, when I put that I was having you on tonight, I got a little taste of how they hate on you because they're in my feed now, right? So tell us a little bit about how you've been handling that.
I mean, at first, like, I think there's always the phases. Like, at first I wasn't used to all this, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So I would kind of go to town battling all these people in the comments and trying to refute the lies and whatever. And then I was like, no, that's just a bad, I got some good advice from a couple different people, and that's just a bad route. So I just basically ignore it now, and I could care less. Like, it's so frequent. There's so much of it. It's kind of muted itself out. Like, I don't care anymore because it's just such an onslaught.
Interesting. So what drives you? What are you passionate about? Like, I mean, I know it's hocus pocus, but if you could wave a magic wand and change something significant, usually that relates to something that you really hate. So our passions are built. We can't pick what we're passionate about, just like we look at a human being. We're attracted to them or we're not. We vibe with them or we don't. And I know that, I've been super surprised. I thought I knew somebody from social media, and then I sit with them. I'm like, oh shit, I was wrong about you, dude.
Yeah.
And you can
Yeah.
always, like these guys that are throwing hate, if we're having beers, it's just a pissing session. It's fun. So, anyways, was there a question there?
Yeah, I would say I'm very claustrophobic. I love freedom. I hate to feel like, tied up or constrained, or that the government is kind of like constricted on us. Like, I hate that feeling. So if I could change anything, I would change that in the people, because the people are really, everybody's living in fear these days. And it's true, rightfully so. Like, I say one word and now all of a sudden, I don't know how, I think it was like 180 million people saw that video or something, like insane. And so that's something, we're all scared of, and we're all scared of losing our jobs. We're all scared of losing friends and family. So if I could change that and get the people to where they're not scared anymore and they spoke their minds, that would be a win for me.
So what's the bottom line on your passions? Like for me, and especially, I don't care what you do after you're 18 years old, leave my kids alone, though. When you start messing with, like, we used to have really strong laws around what we could do, or social norms. You don't talk to kids and show them books like they do in kindergarten now. So for me, it's kids. Don't fuck with the kids. I don't have any. I always say yet. I'm 55. Who knows? It's just never happened for me. But I am obsessed, especially like up until from the time they can hold their head up, and I'm not going to snap their neck by picking them up the wrong way, until 2.5 or something like that, even 3. They're little drunk geniuses that teach me so much, and I just love being around them. So for me, it's kids. But what do you think the driving underlying causes that you are so passionate about drive you to do what you do?
Well, I mean, now, like since you brought up like the kids, since I have a son, like now my thing is I want to make sure that the country that he's going to live in, that he's going to grow up in, is not going to be falling around his head. Like I don't want him to be raised in a country that you can't speak your mind, or you might have a cop coming up at your door like they are in the UK for posting a meme that people don't like. So yeah, I would say definitely. I mean, as far as the abortion thing is a big, like what you were saying, the kids in general, that's something I'm definitely passionate about, because it's not only the future, but it's our kids too. Like, I don't want the school. I think people need to try to get their kids out of the system. That's a big deal right now, and that's why our country's so screwed right now, is because we have generations of kids that's been raised in the system and been indoctrinated by groomers and people trying to turn them into little lefties themselves. So that's a big thing too.
Yeah, I just wish they'd leave the kids alone. And I think the pendulum's going to swing back. It'll come back violently, and hopefully it takes some people out on the way back. But I think this is just a natural cycle. It's almost like I look at the political situation in the States. I'm a 10-time candidate from Ontario, Canada. Federal, provincial, regional. I ran for mayor. No, I didn't run regional. I ran for mayor. So municipal, provincial, and federal, which is almost all the levels if you don't include regional. And I loved it, but I never looked at American politics. I thought, I heard the story about playing basketball with Obama and how he was all elbows and really giving the guys the gears and being like a man's man. And I thought, oh, that's so cool. You know what I mean? But I never paid any close attention to American politics, because I was Canadian. I was a lefty. I ran as a Green Party guy, so I can steel man both sides of the argument. I took Toastmasters. I killed my fear of public speaking, and then I became a comedy force as a politician. On stage, I was awesome, because I could. These are all first timers up there, and I'm like like even the first time liberals and conservatives, they're newbies. They're reading from their speeches, and I've been, dude, you can't read from it. Like, just talk to us, And this is what I hate. When Trump came in, I just said I hated Stephen Harper. He was the Prime Minister of Canada at the time, being a lefty. He was a conservative, and he was burning all the environmental libraries and gutting all the acts and stuff. And as a lefty, I hated Stephen Harper. When Trump came in, I made a deal with myself. And I just said, you know what? I'm not going to generate any new hate for this guy, because it only tears me up. My hate for Stephen Harper didn't affect Stephen Harper at all. So I just said, you know what? I'm not going to generate any hate for this guy. And then I started watching him, and then I'm like, this guy's he's doing stand-up. And who has ever spoken like this? Which politician, forget a president, like president's another level altogether, who talks like this? And it's just exactly like no speeches, like no, and during COVID, he'd stand up there for 2.5 hours. He'd come out with his speech, 17 minutes long, and then he'd stand there for another hour and a half taking all the questions. I'm like, we've never seen a politician that's granted this much access to the leader of the free world. And then when I started looking at his policies, how he dealt with China, he's been saying the same thing about China for 40 years, 30 at least. And then every rule that came down when he closed the borders, I'm like, holy shit. Like, I couldn't believe he did it. He says, no, these countries, you're done. And I started agreeing with his policy, and that was part of my red pilling. So unlike you, I had to come across the political spectrum. I knew the left. I knew what a carbon tax, carbon fee and dividend was, and how it could be used to be revenue neutral. You don't have carbon taxes in the States, but in Canada, it's crushing the economy. And we've got the worst government ever seen to man. So, I always pay, but then Trump made me obsessed with even the House, like all of it. And like I'm just obsessed with it now. And then when he lost, I couldn't believe it happened. I couldn't believe it. Because all the guys on CNN and all the major talk shows were all crying because it was done. And then I think I stayed up till 3 o'clock in the morning. When I woke up the next morning, they were calling it for Biden. I'm like, how does this? And it's just like COVID. I saw it coming. Any normal human being could go, oh, this ain't right, man. This ain't right. So now you're a little bit more involved than you've ever been in politics. Do you have any aspirations to actually maybe get elected somewhere or do something? Or do you have any high-level aspirations other than what you're doing now?
Oh, no. I would... Politics is a dirty business. I would not... I don't want anything to do with that. I don't think women make good politicians anyway, because we do, like...
Leave it to the
we
men.
do. Sorry, it's true.
Job.
We do crack under pressure and stuff, and we are emotional and whatever. And like, no, I don't want a female governor, and I would never want to run for office myself. It's too much.
All right.
And then as far as like aspirations, I don't know. I've just been winging it so far. I don't really have like a battle plan or even really an end goal. But the thing is, it's like the way things kind of went down, it was kind of backed against the wall. So now it's like I'm kind of unhireable. There's no more, because at first I had my whole plan out. I had my entry-level marketing job, and I was going to go in that direction. Well, that, blew up. And now it's like I don't really see the point in even trying to like apply for new jobs, because, one Google search and you've got 50 articles about Lilly the racist, and nobody wants to touch racism with a 10-foot pole. So, I've kind of feel like I have to just forge this direction, because I'm like, well, I've been flung in this direction, so might as well make the best of it, because there's no more traditional routes of a career anymore.
Where are you getting your traction now that you're riding the wave a little bit? I see you did Tim Pool's show. You had another show that you did on the Rumble with somebody at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Where are you getting your tractions? Which accounts, and what are you doing? Are you just doing whatever you love, or are you trying to target stuff that's gonna? I mean, it doesn't matter what you click now. You're gonna have 100,000 views immediately on Twitter. So you must be making some money off Twitter too.
You think it's a lot? It's not really that much. At least it's something to like kind of give me a little pocket change, which is good, because right now it's like everybody assumes that this whole route is so profitable, but it's like, no, dude, it's not profitable. That's for sure. You basically, the only way to make money is to be like a Daily Wire person and get signed on with one of those massive, companies and read from their script. But I don't like that. Like, I'd rather stay, either with somebody who aligns with what I believe or stay independent. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm just kind of winging it.
Is Gavin going to pick you up?
And I'm talking to everybody.
Is Gavin going to pick you up, and will you take me along with you? If he does.
I have to bring my friends with me, of course.
I was thinking today that the part, like being a producer is tough. If you want to have all your clips up and doing it all yourself, it's tough. And the best part about these shows is the producer. I always say it's the producer show. When I had a radio show, the guy behind the glass, it was his show. I was just the host. I just came in to he ran the commercials. He got me in on time. He counted me out of break and all that kind of stuff. Like it was his show. So the producers are everything. And I know there's a couple floating around right now that are looking for jobs. So maybe somebody would volunteer to hit you up. But you almost need somebody like a Ryan or a co-host or a contributor, that will, offset you, because doing monologues is tough.
I know. I was thinking the same thing. I was like, I'm kind of like a ship out at sea by myself, and I kind of need one teammate, just one person in my corner. But yeah, for sure. Because when it comes to the tech stuff, like I'm basically a boomer when it comes to my tech skills. I need a Ryan. I need somebody who knows about all that shit, because I can do the content and I can talk to people. Yeah. But all the rest of that techie stuff is just, it's Chinese to me.
Glaze Gavin for me so I don't have to do it myself. I love that word now. Okay. I got that from Fuentes. I love the word. I didn't know that kid was so freaking funny. Oh my God. He's I don't watch his stuff much. And when I do, it's serious clips on Twitter that I see. But I went to his Rumble channel last night, and he was just reading cash chaps or whatever the chats that pay you money. What do they call them? See, it's only my brain that goes mushy. Anyways.
Super chats?
Super chats, yeah. Yeah. I know when I heard you say, and without further ado, I'm like, oh, I love it. And you know how many things I've ripped off from Gavin? So how long, you've been watching him maybe for longer than I have. You were right, like in the beginning, yeah?
I wasn't like subscribed to his show for a long time, but I would, whenever I first started like getting into politics, like just watching politics and stuff, it was like just clips on YouTube. So I never watched the show, but I would watch like, his best moments or whatever, like funny parts, clips from his Rebel days. I watched him. I watched Milo from like the old Milo days. Yeah, that was pretty much the only two. I watched some Jordan Peterson, but Jordan Peterson, all these guys, I feel like Jordan Peterson kind of like strayed off, Well, I don't know what happened.
Well, I know the benzos almost killed him, and that's serious shit. Serious shit. And I'm a Christian guy. I don't push it on people, but like, I don't mind talking about it. But in my men's group, I get a Christian men's group on Thursday mornings at 7:30. If there's any guys out there that want to join, it's not just for Christians. It's a good men's support group, but it's based in Christianity. Right. And I remember saying to my boys, this guy's going to find God through all this. If he lives, he's going to find God. And anytime he talks about Jesus or God, he seems to get emotional and start crying. Yeah. But lately, since he's been in bed with the DW, I've seen just over the last 7 days, he's gone off the rails as far as, well, he said, I'd be happy to beat you to a pulp today to some guy. And then he went straight at Fuentes, calling him a rat, because Michaela, his daughter, says, you know what, when you refer to Jews as rats, that should be censored. And like, I'm an absolutist. Like, I say, let it all go. Okay, I guess you can, if you tell someone, if you incite violence, I get that, okay? But other than that, I'm an absolutist. And so...
Even that, I'm like, what's so wrong? Sticks and stones. Like, let people
shows who the idiots are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sticks and stones.
The whole threat thing, I think it's kind of gay, too. I think threats and all that, I think that should be fine. It's still just talking.
Mm-hmm. Words are not violence.
Exactly. But people don't get that because they're all soft.
Yeah, well, you know what? This is part of the pendulum swinging back, and I don't think I finished my thought, but my thoughts on the political, it's almost like you've seen what Biden's doing now. We saw the comedy show that was Trump, but Trump, they got him with COVID, okay?
Yeah.
And then they rigged it. Pennsylvania changed their vote. I can't believe there's not a federal association that oversees elections. I know your states have freedom, sovereignty, and all that kind of stuff, but like in Portland, I'm like, roll the tanks,
Yeah.
And this is my thought that I can't seem to get out. is the pendulum swinging back, and it's almost like we had to go through this. We had a good thing with strong borders, a great economy, energy self-sufficient, and now we've gone so far the other way. It's comical. We went from one cartoon character in Trump to Mr. Magoo and the other cartoon character who shuffles and is just. I feel sorry for I can't feel sorry for the guy, but I feel badly for what they're doing to him, and I can't help but think it's, a Christian would say it's all God's plan, but it's almost like we needed to get a taste of the radical left crazies. So we knew what the limits were and how bad it could get. And maybe it's all meant to be, but I'm having a hard time, as Gavin was saying, fitting it into my brain of all the suffering that's going on. We've got some serious issues. And we're talking about Palestine, and we're talking about Ukraine and Russia. Like, who cares? Like, we got issues. Our major cities are filled with people on trank that are bent over like this, just zombies. Like, our kids are growing up directionless. 85% of the black community grows up without a father, and I think that is the number one issue we face today is fatherlessness in the home. Yeah. I grew up, I had my father in the home. I was afraid of him. When the lazy boy collapsed, Mom would say the giant's getting up, and we scattered. We just, or we shut up or whatever. Like, we feared the old man. I still fear my old man. You know what I mean? But it's almost like I feel like somehow we needed to get, because I'm trying not to justify, I'm trying to explain how could things get how did we get here? And it's maybe it's just all meant to be.
It's just good times, everybody's too comfortable. And I think times have to get rough and things have to get bad before people will realize, oh, dang, maybe I do have to speak up. Maybe it is worth a little bit of hate to push back on this. Because when everything's fine, when everything's comfortable and life's good, it's easy to just get into a routine and not get involved and not say anything and just let the politicians, do their little deals up there, and you don't notice it because times are good, and maybe the rough times is, like you said, what we needed to be able to take the pendulum back and get normal people, like young people now, since they're not even partying now. Like, young people, just from the time I went to college to now, people don't go out, they don't go to the bars, they don't have house parties anymore. And that's telling, because everything's too expensive. They can't afford to do that. So that's going to make the young people be like, dang, we need to do something here, because life's not fun anymore and it's not easy and we can't just check out,
Who you got in your life that's been propping you up lately? Because, I've been there before. I've made the front page of the paper a few times. I've made national news during an election for saying something, outside of the box. And that's all we ever tried to do was as a candidate, it was always my goal to make the national news, even if it's a local candidate. And you try and hopefully it's positive. But, who have you got that's been rock solid in your life as far as, when the shit hits the fan, or you gain this type of popularity or notoriety, you need good solid voices, and you mentioned you had some good advice. So who you got that's propping you up in your life when you need it?
Well, ultimately it's just my family, to be honest. Those are the main ones. There's people that have been like helpful and whatever, and they've given me good advice. But ultimately, the only people you can really trust is like your family, bottom line, because everybody else, most people out there, like, they either need something from you or whatever, or there's just the people that as soon as there's a little adversity, they flee. Because I've had a bunch of that, a lot of friends are like, oh man, we're backing away because this is, scary and whatever. But it's one of those things, you do find out who your real friends are, and you do find out who the real ones are too. I think it's a good separating the wheat from the chaff as well, because the good people, the solid people, even in like politics and stuff, who can kind of see beyond, and you're like, okay, you have a little bit more insight. They've made themselves aware as well. So yeah, but definitely my family's been the main one.
Cool. So what do you really love to do? Like when I started with the radio show, I had a little taste of it. I called it the real estate show, and then I got so bored of that. It was on a small station in St. Catharines called CHSC, 1220 CHSC. Then years later, as a regular caller to the Tom McConnell show, which I only called on political things, I was caller of the year several times. Where at Christmas time, everyone votes for their favorite caller. Jimmy Fannon won it 2 years in a row, and so a few times. And then I worked myself onto the station as a host, and I'd done a little bit of it before. But when I took the mic the first time, I was pretty rough, but that feeling, like, dude, my show used to be on Sundays. Then I became the regular fill-in guy for all the crew. So I was all day. If somebody went on vacation, I was taking their 2-3 hour slot. And, it's kind of a really structured thing with, 9 minutes in commercials, and you hit the quarters, and you got to hit the top of the hour for news and all that kind of stuff. So I really loved it. And when I came out of the show, like, you could not knock me down that day. On Sundays, when I got off of the air at 2:00, I was flying on a natural high. Mm-hmm. And so I know I really love the radio and broadcasting. And this is really different doing this. You've got your own platform. You don't have the producer and all that kind of stuff. I don't have anyone behind me. But what is it? And I'll morph this into a further question of, what do you really love to do? Like, what gets you that high? And if you could write this, if you're the writer and director of your own storybook, starting today, how's this thing go? And how's it end? I know that's hokey.
So
such a gay question.
This is awful, but if I wrote my whole story, it wouldn't look like this. I would have a husband, and I would have 5 kids, and I would be living in Nicaragua in a little shack, and we would be out surfing.
Cool.
That would be my ideal.
Why Nicaragua?
Why It's not as touristy as like Costa Rica, so it's more like local.
Okay.
And there's still those little fishing villages that aren't. I hate tourists. I've lived in like tourist towns and they suck. So, but yeah, that would be my ideal. However, right now, this is awesome too, because it's you can change people's lives. You can maybe speak up because I feel like a lot of people don't speak up for normal American people. There's a lot of people like the I don't know, maybe like the Fuentes crowd, they speak for like the guys who really have their shit together, and they have a lot of passion or whatever, and they're good. And then there's the people that they partied in college, they're the frat guys, they're they're just normal Americans that aren't really involved in politics or whatever, and they don't have a whole lot of people speaking out for them. So that I consider them my base, because that's kind of who I am. That's who I can relate with. And those are the people that seems to have gravitated to like my kind of content. But yeah, if I could help them out, give them a voice, get them encouraged, figure out maybe a way to help people whenever they get canceled. I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, I would like to start some sort of like foundation or something to where you can help people when they get canceled. Because I had an interesting experience because, I was shot into the spotlight and I had people help me. And, I can maybe forge something in this vein. But a lot of people, they their life's over. They go into oblivion. They just go into hiding, and then it's kind of like over for them. And I think we need a fallback plan for those kind of people. That's what I feel really bad for them. And they don't really have anyone in their corner. Nobody knows about their story. And they just kind of like, it teaches people don't speak out because your life's over then,
yeah.
right?
And it's easy to get intimidated when you get the international news, or in my case, it was like national news, and I wasn't seasoned enough back then. I hid. So when the newspapers came from me, rather than ride the wave, I let the wave crash on me, and that was a mistake. But I'm glad to see that you had enough smarts or good enough people around you to encourage you and build it, because the wave only might come once. And if you can turn it into something, and if you can turn it into something valuable and something that you're passionate about and actually love, that makes you high as hell when you go to work, you come home and you're all amped up because you helped a bunch of people, that there certainly would be a market for giving some good coaching advice to people that were on the verge of getting canceled or have become what you consider to be unemployable. I became the same thing in my hometown. Nobody would touch me, because I got a big mouth and I'm funny. And that's the word. When you speak truth and you're hilarious, that's the worst combination, it seems like. They hate those people. So it's a noble goal.
Oh, I've always thought that, like, the people who are really censored, though, that they are people who have good, valid points and it's the truth, but they also are appealing to other people, because you don't see a lot of people who are not necessarily charismatic and not necessarily charming get censored that much. Like, they may all have the same good points, but certain people get censored and certain people don't. But it's just one of those things,
Cool, man. Well, I have been really entertained. I'm not a huge consumer. Like, I've got my shows. And now I've been watching Anthony. Now that I've got access to Anthony, and Anthony's been putting his shows on free for Monday, watching an hour and a half. And, I could be doing it while I'm working in the kitchen or, doing something around the house. Gavin's show I try to watch because even if I'm listening to it, there's so much video content there. But, like, I've only got enough time to consume enough. And I want it to be, like, these days, I'm looking to take the clown pill all day because I really think that Twitter is making me sick. But I am a hopeless addict when it comes to Twitter. And if there's an earthquake, I'm in the Dominican Republic on the North Shore. We get earthquakes. And if you want to know what's going on, you hit Twitter right away. Like, you don't go to Facebook, you don't go anywhere but Twitter. Twitter will tell you. It doesn't matter, even if you're like a small little island, a small town on the North Shore in the Dominican Republic, still you'll know what's going on. So, but I know it's fueling my rage. It's making me an angrier human being, and ultimately, I've got a pretty good mental constitution, but somehow it's making me sick. It's either making me drink too much or it's making me making me antisocial or whatever, but Twitter's not healthy, and the kids should be protected from that.
It's not how people were designed to be. We're not designed like that.
To see the worst of
definitely
society
does
all
make
the
you
time.
want to go the eat, pray, love route, right? And just axe it all.
Yes, I'm constantly looking for the clown pill, and that's what I get from Gavin, especially him and Ryan. Like, I mean, I just glazed on him about how much he means to me on a show the other day when I called him. Like, dude, you get me through the thing, but I know my neighbors are wondering why I'm coughing and trying to catch my breath because I'm laughing my guts out because of some stupid thing or mannerism or expression you made. It's just, so I'm constantly looking for the clown pill. The red pill tasted like shit. I think I'm still black-pilled now. I still think it's all hopeless. But, when I look at those accounts that make me rage, the only thing I can do is go, oh, this is parody. Okay, it's good. It's funny. But that so much of it isn't. But, like, I almost have to look at everything that makes me rage on Twitter as parody because if you don't, it's too much.
Yeah, I really don't look on it. I'm kind of checked out. Like, I'll put out my content or whatever and respond to the people in the comments, but I don't look. Like, I'm so under a rock.
Good girl.
Like, I don't really know what's going on. Awesome. I don't know the players.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks for making it. And I know, it's either you get a response or you don't. I love you. Right. Oh, by the way, would you do my show? I love you too, and of course I would. Thank you, God.
Of course.
So.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was a fun talk. I think you got an awesome show, and fun times.
Well, it's good to get to know the people, and like I said, we didn't talk much in the way of politics or stuff like that, but hopefully people that watch or listen will get a better idea of who you are, and I wish you much success, and I hope to see you. If I was doing a show, it would be called You've Been Duped. And I would spend all my time with my producer going through all the false narratives that have been created. And there's so many of them. And I think I don't know what the first one, I'm sure they're pretty old, but the first one for me was Obama saying that women made 76 cents on the dollar compared to men. So much bullshit, but so easy to believe. And can you
Right.
believe the amount of sheep that still go around with all these debunked headlines and just spewing them out as if they're truth? Like, it's really reduced my faith in humanity. The whole COVID thing, I saw it coming. The old and the fat were dying. The kids were good. I'm like, I never get sick. I've never had a flu shot. I'm not taking this shot. I'll take my chances with COVID. Like, it did.
Exactly.
And I'm not, I don't even consider myself that bright. I could just see it coming. But literally 50% of the population just went, okay, well, if I need to travel, I'll take the shot. And
I know.
now they're getting their ass kicked with turbo cancers and all kinds of shit. Myocarditis and stuff. So anyway, I hope to see...
it's a bad thing. It's definitely made the dating pool even worse, because I think it's like 13% of the population didn't get it. And now that's like nobody
It's
left.
got to be higher than that. I hope you're wrong on that. But yeah, who wants, a friend of mine back home was saying she was going to divorce her husband if he took the shot. I'm like, well, what difference? She goes, Jimmy, he's going to come in me. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
okay.
and it
You're
does
worried
shed. It
about
does shed.
Yeah, I get the shedding thing, but like I wasn't really thinking, oh yeah, his DNA goes into, like, I mean, how does that work? And I'm not sure that's even like a concern, but for her, and she's highly intelligent, I was like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
That's...
Well, I heard what happens is, this is TMI, but I heard what happens is when they like come, it makes you almost sterile, because that's going up into your ovaries and stuff, so it sterilizes you to a certain extent and causes like fertility issues. Yeah.
Well, I hope you're wrong on that too, but it's, you know what? It's like I said, I don't consider myself like I'm no dummy, but it was common sense. I just saw it coming.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh no, I'm not doing this. And that's the only reason I left Canada, is because my federal government said, as of October 30th, 2021, you could not get on a plane, a train, or a bus if it was regulated by any government. You had to show a vaccine pass. So my flight flew out 7 days before they closed the border to the unvaccinated. I never wanted to leave my comfort, my family, my friends, my comfortable life. I was embedded in all the rock stars, like the local music scene. I was, a little bit of a local celebrity because of the talk show. So, when I had the radio show, I would bring all these struggling musicians into the producer studio to play the bumper music in and out instead of using, records or whatever, tapes.
Right.
And there was a huge opportunity. And then I'd interview them afterwards. So all my friends were all rock stars in Niagara. Niagara's got a lot of rock stars. So I never wanted to leave. But as soon as Trudeau said, you can't leave your country, I'm like, well, I don't know. It turned out I would have been trapped there 2 years.
Right.
And so, or it was almost 2 years, I think. So that's the only reason I left. And, it's kind of like, you think you have these really bad things happen in your life. Like when my YouTube channel got canceled, I was making $1,500 a month off of in the middle of COVID. I was crushed because it was my life, right? And then you look back and you're going, yeah, I guess thank God for COVID, or I wouldn't be here. And I'd still be in that country that I really don't like. I haven't been back since I left, and I don't want to go back. And it's rough. It's rough in Canada now, man. Gas is expensive, and everything's the LCBO's on strike. You can't buy liquor right now, and I mean that's the only reason I left. So, yeah, sometimes adversity. Thank you.
Adversity. Yeah.
My brain is mush. You look back at it and you go, oh, shit, thank God for that. So whoever thought I'd say thank God for COVID, but I'm pretty happy in the Dominican Republic.
It's true.
I'm a big pimp when it
Well,
comes to that.
hopefully everything works out for everybody, right?
Okay, I promised I'd do this if I remembered. So I have remembered. So I'm going to put you on the spot. We're going to end the stream. And I know you said that but I'm going to stay on the 2-camera shot. I'm going to stay with you. Okay. I'm going to get you to try and say the most offensive things you can to a human being. Pretend you're just talking to me. Say the meanest, funniest, most offensive things that you can think of, and I'm going to stop the streaming right now. Oh, where can everyone find you? On Twitter? Give us all your addresses before I cut the stream.
Yeah, if you follow me on Twitter, it's the Lilly Gaddis. I've got all my other stuff linked to that. So, yeah, that's basically all I got going right now. Twitter.
Yep. Oh, yeah, the TikTok. You never recreated another account? You're not on Insta or
I've got
Facebook
one,
or
but
anything?
it's so shadow banned. It's like a joke.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you using your real name. Say goodbye, Lily.